Hey guys, I'm back. This is crunch time. The critique, or pretty much your opinion section of the mini reports. This is part 4. This causes a lot of concern for students until they realise that I generally want your own opinion. It's not so much a critique as just you evaluating all of the previous work that you've done and going, you know what, I think I understand this. I can explain it to a manager, and I'm very conscious that one of the best ways to actually write this down is just as if you were talking to someone. So get your dog, your girlfriend, whoever you're allowed to be around, and say, hey, I'm going to tell you about customer satisfaction. Now, let's go through this. I've dropped in some phrases that I think that we in business can use to get a conversation going. And students struggle with this. They go, well, you're just talking jargon. You're just sounding like you're waffling on. I said, well, that sadly is what in business we have to do. We're in the part of the corporate world. We need to talk to people. So I've just put down some key lines down here that'll get us going. Now, the key point you need to understand before we go anywhere is this is your opinion. We're going to run this through Turnitin. If this comes up, Turnitin is a plagiarism tool that will say how similar your answer is to someone else. If your answer is similar to someone else's, you're going to get 0, you're going to get failed, you're going to be brought up on plagiarism charges. That is not a good place to be. I want your own opinion. I've had twins who worked on the first part of their mini reports together and actually disagreed with each other in the second part. Both got full marks. I want your opinion. I want you to back it. Now, the key point is here, guy, the bottom line. Is this bullshit hype gold or grey in between? Now, I want your opinion. Now, one of the key tricks here is always show both sides of any story. Look, and there are ways to, and these are the phrases you can use. Look, many authors view customer satisfaction as the only goal of, say, the hotel industry or cars or what have you. Others prefer the traditional selling approach. Is more relevant, that you make it, they want it, they'll buy it. What do we need customer satisfaction for? Again, as long as you're showing both sides of an argument, and then you say, well, look, and this is the trick, guys, this is the one thing you cannot ignore. In the context of hotels, this matters, but it may not matter elsewhere. So you're trying to find words that are useful. Now, the one thing I noticed here, guys, see the line we have? Get rid of it. See the references? Get rid of it. They don't exist in the personal opinion section. Just put it down. Now, students do occasionally put in references, what have you, that's fine. But again, I want to highlight there's no structure here. You write it the way you want. A lot of people structure arguments in different ways. Logic first, then defend it, or tell a story. I don't care what structure you use as long as it makes sense. In normal handwriting, most critiques take a page and a half at the most. If you've only written 8 lines, you're going to fail. Now, this is worth half of your mini report. So, guys, this is where you can pick up a lot of marks. Now, let's go through some of the phrases that I like to use. Now, understanding this theory will help a business in this way. Right, studies have shown, and this is where you can come back to the previous part 3, where looking at blogs, reports, journal articles, everything you say here you want to justify. I believe this because here's the evidence. I believe this based on this evidence. I believe this, and you take it from there. This helps a business by doing this. It highlights why people leave hotels. When you look at dissatisfaction, there are 3 key areas that customers won't tolerate. I think this has to be addressed in a key service model. Now, the other thing, when you look at it, customer satisfaction, if it doesn't really matter overall, but there are only elements of it, why do you want to keep advertising saying we are the greatest if they're not really looking at it, when they're really looking at we are the greatest in giving you the best deals to go elsewhere, locations, stuff like that. Now, the other word I like, this approach seems appropriate except, right? Every time you use the accept word, you say, well, it depends on the situation. Now, other phrases that students have used, while appealing at first glance, this research requires greater understanding of to be useful. Right, remember, we're trying to say to the boss, look, we need to do this, why? Or we don't need to do as much of it, why? This example was, I strongly agree with the position the firm needs to accept digital marketing, right? I totally disagree. I have difficulty accepting. Boss, while there's evidence to support both sides of the argument, a middle ground can be useful. I'd say that's one of my absolute favourites. Shades of grey. It depends on context, right? Now, other times this should be approached with caution. Sorry about that, guys. This approach should be approached with caution. Good English. This may not be transferable to other product or category groups, companies. This is also a massive one. Right, I've got these here just to get you to focus and think like a manager. How's this going to help? If we invest in this approach, will it help? If we ignore it, will it hurt? What are our competitors doing? Other words I'm thinking of now are successful competitors embrace this concept, right? Poor performers ignore customer satisfaction, right? And then you could put examples are Roy Morgan's research, right? All you're trying to do, I'm happy with you take any position as long as you justify it. But this is where you show, hey, I went to university and I know a bit more than writing a definition in part one, drawing a model. I actually know how this works in industry. I can express myself as a professional and not like someone who really has no idea that there's a corporate world out there. This is learning to speak in the way our industry, our fellow marketing Spartans converse to one another. And that's one of the reasons I have this. I want your opinion. The university is very much about critical thinking, getting students to engage with the material and think for themselves. I've told you the greatest gift I can give you is to look at any problem with a critical mind and make up your own decision, whether it's right or wrong, and not accept at face value, hey, this guy knows what they're talking about. So guys, let's wrap that up. That's the last bit. I'm going to load these up on under the assessment section of our new Moodle site. I will try and open up a forum for question and answers under each of these little videos. I hope they've helped.